Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Trading behavior is evolving faster than most platforms can adopt. Today's users expect speed, personalization, community, embedded experiences, and seamless multi-platform access all at once. Premium clients are no longer looking for just tighter spreads or a dedicated account manager. High-value traders today expect a lot. So what actually drives loyalty among top-tier clients in 2026? This panel brings together leaders working directly with affluent and high-frequency client segments across Asia to discuss retention, trust, personalization, and the future of premium trading experiences. Please welcome our moderator, Desmond Leung, CEO of Returning AI.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. All right, so thanks for taking the time to come down for today's session. Right, I'll be the talk will revolve around three things when it comes to premium clients. All right, because I think most of the times when you're looking at a premium client, right, the first instinct is to think, all right, the more funds they put with you, the more premium they would be, right? And with me today, I have some of the best industry experts to give us insights into that, it's not just the deposit size, it's not just the account balance, but what else that we are not seeing, but the data is showing, will give us ideas of how valuable, high value a client would be. We'll also be looking, right? We'll also be looking at some playbooks. What works, the premium client playbook. What works in Asia, but doesn't work in the rest of the world, and what works in the rest of the world, and actually what works in the rest of the world, but doesn't work in Asia. All right. So okay, without further ado, let's begin the round of introductions. All right. So as a quick intro, could everyone share, from left to right, your name, your role, and an interesting question, which is, if you had to pick one signal that is more important than deposit size to determine whether a client has premium potential, what would it be? Ari.
Hi guys, thank you very much for joining us. I know you're all very busy. My name is Oriano. I work at CMC Markets looking after the high net worth traders as well as some institutional business. I spent probably about 7 or 8 years here in Singapore. Back to Desmond's question, for me, at the fact-find stage of a client journey, I think there's one thing that stands out, and it's the referral capabilities of that individual, which sounds out an understanding of the market and their ability to increase volume for the broker.
Great. Thanks, Desmond, for the introduction. Shane, I represent USAM. I've been a banker for 25 years and then recently transitioned to technology. So within USAM, we represent firms from the US and Europe who are looking out for a marketing footprint and a sales footprint in Asia and Asia-Pac. So to answer your question, I think I'd add to what Ori said, which is basically you're looking at when you do an onboarding, what is his net worth? And more importantly, what are his liquid assets? Now, liquid assets traditionally means what he's invested and he can liquidate within 2 days or 3 days, and what he's sitting on in cash. Because that lets me know what my total wallet size can be. And that's my target.
Hi everyone, my name is Q. I represent Orange Singapore. Orange Future Singapore is the second fully owned subsidiary of Orange, the parent company being Orange Security Shanghai, listed in China and Hong Kong. The second fully subsidiary is in Hong Kong. So we are the number 2. We started in 2018. With regards to what Desmond said, our big sophistication, apart from their real, how to deem the potential of what client can or potentially can become.
Thank you. My name is Ching Lang, and people also call me Nemo. I'm representing eToro. So eToro is the largest social trading network in the world. We're publicly listed. We have 40 million users globally. To address Desmond's question, I think beyond deposit size, we're actually looking into different segmentations Okay, it's a few layers. It's definitely not only the deposit size, but also referral behavior, the trading frequencies, even logging activities. Those can be actually transferred or translated into kind of like, the insights that can help with the CRM activities. Yeah.
Thanks, Nemo. So hi guys, I'm JC. So I'm with IG Group. So IG, similar to CMC, we are a retail brokerage specializing in CFDs and Forex. So to answer your question, Desmond, apart from deposit size, I feel that it's one of the indicator, but not the only one. But if I have to pick one thing, it would be activity intensity. So what I mean by that is a trader or a retail investor depositing 500K account size, but trades maybe once a month, it's considered less premium compared to someone that has a 100K account book, but trades 20 times a week. So that's what I mean by activity intensity. Yep.
Okay, activity. Got it. Thanks, everyone. Right. So I think this perfectly segues to the next question that we have, which is, of course, in this case, we can start from JC, right? Because I think it perfectly sets it up. From your personal experience, could you share one example of when a client looked ordinary at first, on paper when they're signing up, but turned out to be really high value? All right, could you share? I think we can work our way this way.
Yeah, so I recount back when we were at our office, we had like a walk-in office, right? So this client that came in, he wasn't especially nicely dressed, right? As you can imagine. He walked in with his slippers, sat down, requested for someone to attend to him, asked us a bunch of questions that seemed quite elementary, right? And then after serving him for 2 hours, he went on to deposit $1,000, right? In the subsequent weeks, he came back to the office very frequently, asking us about different sort of asset classes. Oh, how is this being priced? How is this being margined? What are the fees for this? What are the fees for that? And over time, right, what we found is after a course of like 3 to 6 months, he subsequently made like heavier and heavier deposit sizes, and his trading sizes also became larger and larger. So I guess your question, it's like what might not seem so obvious to a broker at the start, right? So some of the leading indicators as seen from these cases, as you can see, the propensity to explore different asset classes, their ability to sort of like look at, what sort of product breadth a broker has, and their willingness to try it. And then over time as well, the increasing deposit size, to your very first question, was another indicator. But at the same time as well, to what I mentioned earlier, activity intensity, right? As we answered more and more of his question, he sort of built confidence with us, and then he continued trading more and more. Yep.
All right, yeah, I think that resonates very well with what Q mentioned on sophistication, right? They're not just looking at one asset class, right? They start looking at a different asset class, right? And yeah, I think it actually ties in quite well with what Q mentioned too, right? And I believe Nemo will have something to say, right, on this point too. Yeah.
Absolutely, because we are a foreign broker. We just entered Singapore. We got our license, CMS license activated in July last year. So one of the interesting, I'll say, signal or behavior we have observed, I actually tend to agree with you a lot. Like Asian customer, they are very cautious. And when they join the platform, they can make deposit $100, and then they can actually cash out at the same day, right? So if we're actually just looking at how much money in their accounts, but not looking at entire picture or looking at different segment, you'll never be able to identify those customers, okay? The reason they're depositing and cash out the same day is because they want to test. They want to see, the deposit gateways, how fast this broker is, handling their withdrawal request and all this. Before they're actually committing a larger deposit, right? So my point is very simple. I think deposit size and account size will tell us as a broker how much this customer has. But behavior, his activities within the platform will tell you a lot more how much this customer actually worth. Okay, so beyond deposit size, you definitely need to look into other, segmentations, especially engagement and activities from individual customers.
It's very good insight. Thanks, Nemo. Right? It's sometimes a little bit counterintuitive if you think about it. Like you have someone who just puts in on paper, right? He just puts in a little bit of money, and then he withdraws it right away, right? So on paper, if you're just looking at it in that sense, right, it looks like this person's not even interested. It's probably not worth the effort to go and focus on him. Like maybe a salesperson wouldn't even need to go and reach out to him. But that actually could be one of the leading indicators that he's actually testing, how quickly, for sophisticated investors, for accredited investors, these are things that they do care about. How quickly can my money go in? How reliably and how quickly can they come out, right? So, Q, do you have anything to add there?
To add on to what I said at the onset, I believe a potential of what a customer can be. If from the onset, you can see how sophisticated by the question he asked, the way he behaved, and subsequently in terms of how he behaves in the trading account itself. Of course, the large sum having a deep pocket actually helps in how far they can go. But along the way, by judging the way he trades, discipline, which is very important, you can definitely see how far and how long the road this trader probably can travel, definitely.
All right, so in this case, it's not, I guess, when after they've put in the funds, then you start to watch their trading behavior. Is that you're like, okay, is he just going all in, blow up his account, or does he have proper risk management when it comes to trading? Does he I guess it ties back to what you say about sophistication. Does he look like he knows what he's doing when he's trading? I guess that's a pretty good indicator too. I guess when you're looking at your book of clients, right? It's not just the deposit. It's not whether they take it out fast, but also their style of trading. It's a good indication. All right. How about you, Shane?
I think to add to, because all of them brought up very, very important points, to add to JC, Nemo, and Q, the other differentiator that makes sense for a premium client is your quality and efficiency. Because I want to see quality advice. I want to see quality trades. I want to see whether my trades are going at market efficiency levels, right? Am I being ripped off on my buy and sell? Can I do my research well within one platform? Or do I need to go to platform A, do my research, come back and trade in somewhere else? That kills time. That kills patience. So I think what's happening, and especially in Asia, because Asia technology adoption is phenomenal compared to, I would say, old world. That is our key advantage, and that is a key advantage why my panelists are who they are. Because you need to always be future-proof. You don't want to be able to be going back to calling a banker to do a trade. If you can do your research yourself, trade efficiently, and that also means that I can then move more funds to these platforms because these platforms are achieving my objective.
All right. Thanks, Shane. Now, of course, right, Ori, remember, so, of course, just to rehash the question, right, so what's one of the things that you've, or rather, from your personal experience, right, share one example of when a client looked ordinary at first. I'm sure you've dealt with many of them as CMC markets, right? They look ordinary, but suddenly they turn out to be high value. Yeah.
Sure. I think the boys have obviously touched on a number of different points, coming from perception to trading behaviors. There's been a number of instances, and I think as brokers, we're probably all guilty of, typecasting, obviously, clients at the end of the day. I think one area of probably where it's missed is also that segment of the client book or portfolio that has gone dormant. Okay, so client goes through its life cycle. There is an average life cycle of clients. They burn out, they blow up their account. But rather than going to the streets, spending a lot of money in marketing and CPA, then why aren't we focusing on those clients who have had potential in the past and looking to reactivate them? Because they've already exhibited the behaviors and the trading patterns in order to be able to, increase volumes, turnover, in order to be able to, sort of boost those numbers for brokers. So we often lose sight of what's in front of us, is what I'll say, where there is already, proven potential. and then go to the street for new business.
All right, thanks for sharing, Ori. And that brings us to the next question. All right, so, and I guess we can start with Ori. All right, we can start with Ori. What's the one thing premium clients care about that most brokers consistently miss out on? It could be other brokers. It doesn't have to be CMC, right? But yeah,
I'm happy to show my hand, Desmond. No, all good. I think the primary killer from this is a personal perspective and maybe something the boys can relate to is that, and I think Shane touched on it, is the onboarding journey. I think the speed to market of a lot of brokers in the industry, from the time that a client applies to the time they can fund and trade on their account, is getting smaller and smaller. So as a broker, if you're not in that realm, the number of options that these premium clients have, knowing that they are probably spread across multiple brokerage accounts, is endless. So if you aren't, are the best in market or very competitive, you are very quickly, killing that opportunity before it started.
All right, so I guess in this case, one of the things that they really care about is they want it fast, right? They want sign up, they want to be able to deposit fast, they want KYC done fast. All right. Shane, anything to add there?
I think we also want simplicity, right? Because we don't want to jump through hoops and come back to you 5 days later, 10 days later, my account's still not open. So another point that I think I can add to is what Nemo brought out was test the market, test whether it actually exists. Can I do a trade and can I pull out my money? How easy is it? Not only how quick, how easy is it? Things like that. And I think at the end of the day, I have only so many days, because if I'm a high net worth client, I have only so many hours in a day to look at my portfolio. I'd much rather make more money doing my business. So if I have only 1 hour a day or 2 hours a day, and I get stuck with one broker for 45 minutes, sorry, I'm not going to come back to that.
I notice you're pointing to a CMC, so I'm just wondering. Okay. I'm like, all right.
It's in the vicinity.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Thanks for sharing, Shane.
Welcome.
Q, anything to add, man?
To add on to what the fellow panelist has just said, I will believe what customers essentially want after the onset of the account opening is what the account is being managed. I'll cite a small example. Last year during Liberation Day, I had a client who had 200 over option strikes. But of course, he went haywire definitely. But for all the 200 over strikes, only 2 strikes were liquidated to leave the account out of margin call. So it speaks a lot of how the risk operation actually manages the account itself. And this actually warrants a lot of trust or confidence in how the account is being managed in a very, very large way.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't think about that. All right. Thanks for sharing, Q, right? And Nemo.
Yes. First off, I think because we're foreign, so a lot of pressure, like in terms of onboarding fractions, because we still don't have SIMPAS. So I couldn't agree more. This is actually one of the pain points would be, especially for foreign brokers, you must do your homework before you come into the market, and you have to act fast, right? So this is one point I would like to share. And secondly, I think what's constantly in our mind is enablement. How we can actually enable our user to make more informed and make rational decisions. How we can actually achieve that is to launch new tools. Empowerment by the AI. I think our group CEO just shared in the latest earnings call, I think just a couple of days ago, we're actually working and partner with XAI, SpaceX AI. So we're launching a Tori. Essentially, this is a trading investment AI companion. Okay, so this is super powerful because you can use that to make research with a lot of proprietary data. Okay, we're talking about, because eToro is about social trading, right? So you can ask Tori to give you a very detailed research of the top performing global trader that you can actually engage, follow, study. But also, because it's powered by XAI, you can actually also learn and make research about what actually people are talking about on X platform, right? So I would say enablement and giving access, to our user this, I would say, one of the keys to retain our customers, premium customers, and even acquire, more customers to try our service. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. Do you think premium clients really care a lot about a broker having shinier gadgets versus like another broker that they might be thinking about?
Answer is yes, absolutely, yes.
Absolutely.
I as an investor, I also trade, I also invest. Absolutely, I prefer to use the platform will give me the access to different markets, to give me more advanced tools to make research, to make my trading and investment life easier. Absolutely, yes.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Right. Thanks for sharing. Right. And JC, so yeah, ending off with you, right? So what's the one thing that premium clients really care about that you've seen in your experience that brokers might be missing out on?
No, my answer will not be quite as sexy as Nemo's.
Yeah.
So I think going back to basics, right? To touch on what the gentleman has already shared, premium clients care about unfettered access to the market, right? First and foremost. Okay. So they're glued to the markets, right? When Q has shared like Liberation Day tariffs, I'll bring back this example, right? What I meant by unfettered access. Even before Liberation Day tariff, if we roll back the clock a few years during COVID, everyone was staying at home and everyone was trading, right? So brokerage around the world saw a lot of volume, right? Unprecedented volume. And to the point where I think technological resilience is often overlooked, because when you get too many sort of concurrent logins, some platform may fail, some platform may experience sluggishness, and their payments rail might get clogged as well. So to the more recent sort of example during Liberation Day tariff, I think they're glued to their screens, they see the news, they will instantly want to act on their opportunity. So having that sort of like technological resilience to be able to withstand that sort of load under duress, I think is absolutely key for brokerages. Yeah.
All right. So that ties into like stability, right? In some sense, if you take it one step further, it could even be like the reviews, right? Like how people are reviewing a brokerage. And I think there are some sites out there that measure like the volatility of the spreads that a broker has, right? During times of like heavy news announcements could be one, but of course during crazier times like economic uncertainties, like how it actually performs. So those are things that you think like some premium clients are actually looking out for, right?
Exactly. So first of all, having access to their account during such volatile times, you know the platform is there, it wouldn't break down. That's one. Second, because these are premium clients that we talk about, their trade volumes might be larger than an average retail client. So during volatile times, as you mentioned, price swings might be extremely high. For the brokers to be able to take on that trade, right? For them to close out their positions if they need, and it might be a large size, without any sort of like issues or errors or trade rejections, is absolutely critical to this group of clients.
Okay, all right. Interesting. Thanks for sharing. All right, so the next question, right, sets us up for this idea that, all right, we want to acquire more premium clients, right? But how do we do it in a scalable way? All right, because on one hand, you could get a lot of dedicated relationship managers for every single premium client that comes in, but that might not be scalable, right? So this next round of questions, right, helps us brainstorm ideas on how that can actually be done, right? So, JC, right, if you had to double the premium book of IG, right, without doubling your team, okay? So you need to double the premium book without doubling your team. What is the one thing that you would build, and what's the one thing that you would cut? That's a tough question.
The out of the book question is to talk to the gentlemen here, and then we merge as a company, right? We don't just double, we probably triple it. But But no, to answer your question, right? Like what Nemo has shared, I think AI is prevalent. It's real. It's in our everyday lives now. So I think it's sort of looking at AI as just an operational sort of tool, fancy tool, as you mentioned, but as an operational framework within the organization. So for us to scale, we have to then look into AI-powered sort of data analytics, data sort of analysis as well, for the internal teams to sort of predict trends, predict leading indicators of who will be our up-and-coming sort of premium clients, and also assess, right, who are always the top 10 percentile of our client book, or 15%, or whatever metric a brokerage decides. And to your point on having that human relationship manager, it will continue to be a critical part of any brokerage business because with the prevalence of AI and information overload everyone has these days, 24/7 push notifications, you need someone to sort of humanize the experience, right? So how do we scale that? I think it's through all this AI-powered sort of workflow and operational efficiencies. You then allocate and then you get your dedicated sort of relationship manager to always attend to this group of clients, right? And their attention and the way their day-to-day sort of efficiency is also empowered by AI to predict churn, for example. Instead of calling 50 clients who may not mean much, you target a very targeted segment of clients in your book to do very specific sort of actions with them.
Okay, thanks for sharing. It seems that, so from what I understand, there's a lot of almost data analysis that goes into trying to break down the kind of behaviors, right, the kind of triggers, right, that a premium client would have, right, and try to like forecast it beforehand. There's one way, right? Okay, this person has potential to become a premium client. Previously, you might not be able to know just by looking at deposit size. But now with like essentially like a data model, you can have early signals that, hey, this person has promise. Let's then, we don't take out the human element, but yeah, we can then more accurately justify, right, allocating like more resources, like retargeting marketing expenses or even like a RM to reach out to him.
Exactly, yeah.
All right. I think I like the angle. And Nemo. Yeah.
Yes. To add on, I think there are several things or areas that, as a broker, that we can do better. I think number one is you have to have a very solid, localized loyalty program, in which that you encourage, your existing customer to use your all these benefits and perks, including for instance, I give you some example. Here on eToro, we do have eToro Club. Essentially, this is a loyalty program. We do give premium subscriptions, including Financial Times, Wall Street Journals, to encourage people to read, educate themselves, to make a better investment decision. This is just one of the examples, right? Beyond that, we also have dedicated account manager service, discounted fees, and even money cannot buy experience. We have sponsored Premier League since 2017, and as well as last year we've sponsored F1 Alpine team. So this kind of sponsorship not only adding value to the brand presence and trust, but also through this sponsorship we can also give access to to our premium customer, to bring them to see some matches, some games, and to add on the human touch in terms of relationship management. So I would say those are all the added values that as a brokerage business, I think those are very important. Now beyond that, from retention, I would say all your customers, your existing customers, are your best brand ambassador, right? So my second point would be you have to really have a solid, I would say, referral program. Especially in Singapore, this is a word of mouth-driven market, right? So here, I believe if you spotted some brilliant, amazing products, I think it's kind of like very instinct. You want to say, hey, mom and dad or your friends or families, try this out because I find it's amazing, right? So my second point is you have to have a referral program that provides good incentives for your brand ambassador individuals to help you to refer the same level or same quality of customer. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing, Nemo. And I wanted to check one thing because you mentioned loyalty programs, right? For the premium clients, what are some of the gifts, the items, or what are some of the things that they really, really want? Is it paddock club, F1? Is it Premier League tickets? Like, what are the things that they really want? Is it beyond just, it could be cashback, right? But what are the things that you notice that premium clients want more than anything else? Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll say in a nutshell, I think, generally speaking, I think premium clients want a money cannot buy experience. A money cannot buy experience. It's not really a cashback, okay? It's a mix of everything. You know, I want to have access to a dedicated account manager to manage my account, to help me with any issues that I have. Plus, you know, I have a chance to attend those kind of more premium events, in which even if you have money, like product tickets, for instance, because of the partnership, we actually can give product tickets to our premium clients. And these tickets are really, even if you have, you know, if you want to pay 20,000, you won't have access to it, right? So this is something that premium customer are really seeking, yeah.
Right, the money cannot buy experience, like like the VIP concierge kind of service. Very interesting, interesting. Thanks for sharing, Neil. What about you, Q? Like, if you had to double your book without doubling your team, what would you do?
I beg to differ actually from the point of having a dedicated RM type model actually, because I would think a rather pool of managers rather than a dedicated one actually will work generally. So what we do actually currently in Orange Future Singapore, right, we serve a lot of professional clients. So all of them are being set up with dedicated chat groups where the full dealing desk, the sales are inside as well, and we are clear and always prompted, and I got thousands of chat groups. So actually, in this sense itself, because apart from key man risk being plugged to certain big clients, I think this segment of service provision by setting up big service personnel is very important. Where if you were to do the avenue of just having a dedicated RM, right? One is key man risk. One is there's one person that can do 24 hours, not sleeping. There'll be certain lapses, and throughout the years or my experience, I have a lot of experience from clients who move away from retail brokers. Probably the client wouldn't identify as premium in a sense, and they move away because during, for example, like Liberation Day, a certain market volatility days, right? There's no way you can get anybody. The line is jammed, and imagine your orders are jammed, orders are locked, and you can't get. There's nobody can call. There's no dealing desk to call. There's nothing for you to reach out to. So throughout this, I have a lot of experience, clients leaving brokers, electronic brokers, because of this pure reason itself.
But how would you then double your book?
No, then back to the referral part again. If whatever service they are able to provide, right, the referral will naturally happen. Maybe in form of incentives or whatever. It naturally will happen. It will naturally happen because of the nature of service you are able to provide.
All right. Thanks for sharing, Q. Anything to add, Shane?
Actually, I'd take a different route. Maybe because of my traditional background. I would look internally first. I would build an efficient system that, pardon my French, but beats the shit out of the market, right? Because I can build that internally. As in, I can build it by buying stuff externally, plugins, APIs, get the best technology. Because if I can wow my existing customer, it feeds into what these gentlemen said. They become my spokespersons, right? That is one. Second thing is, I think what Ori spoke about was very important. I have a whole set of dormant customers. I need to figure out why they went dormant. I spent a lot of money getting them through the door. They spent a lot of time doing their KYC and coming to me. They traded with me, and now they've gone dormant. What can activate them? They have the money, but they're banking with somebody else. Get them on. And third and most important, I think in Asia, is yes, it is the experience. It's the experience money can't buy. I can buy whatever I want as a premium client. But if you tell me you're going to get to play golf, for example, with the top 10 golfers, I can't do that, right? So that is something I'll fight for. And the most important thing in Asia, because Asia is new wealth compared to Europe, which is old wealth, is bragging rights. I get to brag that this is what happens. My trades went in quicker. I played golf with so-and-so.
Instagram worthy,
I got
yeah.
invited, exactly. I may be smaller than the guy next to me in terms of net worth, but dude, you didn't get invited. So that's what gets me.
Very interesting. Yeah, I love that insights. I love that insights. And of course, Ori, have something to add here?
Yeah, I think I lean on slightly towards Shane's side. The relationship piece, obviously, originally not from Singapore, as you can probably tell. I had to learn that very quickly in terms of my sales approach and how I was maintaining my client base. Onto the product side, though, I think I think you need to be able to provide traders and investors a one-stop shop. Now, that's condescending to CMC's offering, but we're moving towards that at the moment. I think that is something you want to do. There is no consumer out there that can put their hand up and say they want to have 4 different brokerage accounts for 3 different products. I think you're able to kind of collect, and once you've got those clients in there, they're more inclined to trade other products, which will probably have higher margin and revenue. So those existing dormant clients, which I raised about earlier, then go from, let's say, middle book all the way up to premium. So you're exhausting your existing client book, then off the back of what the gentleman is saying from a referral perspective. A bit controversial, what would I cut? Because and I don't know if my boss is here, I would cut marketing budgets. Only because as a salesman, they're never accountable for their ROI, for their great campaigns and ads on the internet, right? But every day I'm accountable for how much, what my spend is, for lunch or for dinner. So I have this constant battle internally, and it's probably one I wanted to get off my chest.
So Ori's bosses don't ask him where he spends his money.
All right, perfect. We have 4 minutes left, so let's keep the last section really fast, right? It's meant to talk about what works in Asia and what doesn't work in Asia, all right? It's interesting parallel to what I mentioned of new money, old money, right? But I guess let's now look at what works, what are the playbooks that I think works well in Asia, or rather, since Asia, let's see what do you think actually particularly works well in Asia, right? The premium playbooks with you, Ori.
I think my go-to is relationship. I had to learn it the hard way. I thought I could walk into a room full of local customers, give out a few business cards, and they'd give me face, and I'd be like, walk away, yeah, I got the deal. But yeah, two days later, I call the client. Yeah, nothing, right? So I had to learn it's a slow and steady sort of progression and relationship game here. I don't think that can be discounted. I think JC touched on it. Even if he was to bring in AI, that needs to be that human touch and human element. So I think that would be my go-to. It's something that in the Western world, yes, it's important, but it's also important. It's not as influential, I would say.
All right. Thanks.
Sorry, Ori, to add to that, I second this point, but to add to that, I think Asia being newer in wealth is more hands-on because you're usually interacting with either first-generation wealth creators or second-generation wealth creators. And technology has grown in Asia by leaps and bounds. So when I'm talking to a client, my client is aware of what I'm talking about. He will look up what I'm quoting live while I'm speaking to him. If I can give that tool to my relationship manager or to my screen in the form of research, in the form of stock screening, in the form of kind of advisory, but without being advisory, just basically floating in their knowledge and crunching it, that is my key differentiator. In Europe, what I've realized from my experience is it's second, third, fourth generation wealth. They do more relationship in terms of institution. I bank with an institution. I don't exactly bank with Shane. So I'm convinced that the institution is taking care of Shane doing the right thing. But in Asia, it is, I am considering that, is Shane giving me the right advice? Or is the platform giving me the right tools to take the right decision? So that's the key differentiator that I've realized between Europe and Asia.
All right, I think it builds on what Ori mentioned quite well, too, right? And very wary of time, right? Q, anything to add?
Probably just to make it, to summarize both gentlemen. Actually, in the geography of Asia and not non-Asia, in Asia itself, the relationship portion is very important. Basically, I think Asian-centric clients will normally look at relationship before they look at the product. But I think out of Asia, probably they look at the product first, then they look at relationship. And that's very evident, very, very evident. the total behavior towards how they view a product itself.
Okay. Yeah, I can see we have 3 people who have agreed that relationship is very important. Nemo, anything to
Yes,
add?
relationship is the key, and I also want to share a survey we have recently done. So every quarter, we're doing a survey called Retail Investment Beat, in which we're surveying over 10,000 retail investors, basically trying to understand what they want, what they need, and everything. Okay, so this survey, actually the latest one was done in February this year, and 1,000 of the surveys came from Singapore. So very interestingly, data shows Singaporean customers, although they are very, I would say, have good education and very informed with a lot of information, but yet they're not comfortable and being confident of the financial decision that they're making versus global, okay? And the gap is actually quite big. Plus, I think Singaporean customers, they also show in the data set, the survey we have sampled, it shows that they're not satisfied with the portfolio performance, okay, at the current stage. They think it's actually quite far away from what they want to achieve in their financial life. So these insights really helped us to come up with more tailored program, because for Singapore markets specifically, which means people want hand-in-hand experience, people want more education, okay, and people want more advanced tools to help them to enhance their investment journey and decision-making process.
Right.
Yeah.
Insightful, right? Insightful. Thanks. So that brings us to actually, because of time, maybe we can end off with JC. Right? From your personal perspective, what is one thing that from Asia works really well for Asia for premium clients?
Yeah, so not to sound like a broken record, in Chinese we call 关系, right? It's relationship. As firms, as trading firms, financial firms, particularly in Asia, I think trust is multi-layered. A firm has to invest in building that relationship. You have to invest the time. You have to have that patience as well for the clients to sort of trust you over time. Because to your very first question as you started this forum, right? Apart from deposit size, tenure, it's also another factor that we look at. So how long the client is with somebody, right? In Asia context particularly, as we are more conservative, particularly in Singapore as well, there's a lot of very small, multiple sort of tight-knit communities. And so long once trusts you, someone in that community trusts you, you sort of unlock multiple high-value clients in that community as well. And for you to do that, you have to invest the time. You have to invest in the relationship.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. That brings us to the end of our panel session. Thank you, everyone, right, for this session today. And I guess that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb.
Thank you.